Hi, this is Mehmet Altın. Welcome to Chapter 1, Apply What You Know. We will do some calculations in this video. First question is, imagine that you own 200-room hotel. You sold 50 rooms for $100, 30 rooms for $80, and 20 rooms for $120 a night. Calculate occupancy, ADR, and RevPAR. Before we start, I want you to just stop the video, go over the question by yourself, then come back, please. Now, I am assuming you did some calculations, and let me copy these formulas here. Okay, now let's start with the rooms sold. It is very basic. There's 50 rooms, 30 rooms, and 20 rooms. Now room revenue with different rooms sold with different prices. 50 times 100 plus 30 times 80 plus 20 times 120. Now, average daily rate, as I copied here, is the total room revenue divided by the total rooms sold. So total room revenue divided by total rooms sold is going to give us $98 for ADR. For the occupancy, we get how many rooms sold divided by how many rooms available, which is 200. So 50%. Now, revenue per available room could be calculated in two different ways. The first method is multiplying ADR times occupancy, which is 49. And another method is getting the total room revenue divided by total rooms available. Once again, do not forget that RevPAR is per available room, which is the same as 49. So let's look at the second question in this. Now, once again, please stop this video and go over the question to see if you can come up with some answers. Then come back and we will talk about it. Okay, now, how can you be concerned? Asked Charles Lohr. Our occupancy last month was 76%. That's almost 5 points higher than this same month last year. And our ADR was 144.85. That's about $4 more than last year. And our guest satisfaction scores for the month were higher than ever. We had a great month. So for giving limited information, just looking at, they said, oh, it's excellent, right? Their occupancy is up. ADR is up, but let's continue. Charles was the front office manager at the Branchwater Hotel, a 225-room full-service property located near a busy industrial park. Charles also served as the leader of the hotel's revenue management team. The team's role in the hotel was to establish room rates and manage rooms inventory based on the data generated by the hotel's property management system, as well as the information provided by the hotel sales department. He was in his office talking with Sarah Argote, the GM of the property. Well, I am not looking at how we did compared to last year, replied Sarah. I am comparing our change to our comp set's change. It is true, we were up 5% occupancy points from last year, but the comp set was up just over 10 points. Now, this is important, right? You have to compare yourself to someone, but that's what we call the competitive set. But what about their rates? Asked Charles. What happened there? Did their rates go up or down, and by how much? Well, let's take a look at that, replied Sarah, and then we can assess what happened last month and see if we need to make our own rate strategy adjustments in the future. Now, first question asks, assume the ADR of the competitive set increased significantly. Give an example is more than 7% last month. what will be your assessment of the branch water's revenue management performance compared to its comp set? To be able to do that, first we need to look how much the ADR increased in our hotel. Now, our ADR was $144.85, so that's about $4 more. That's mean last year this month it was $140.85. So to be able to calculate the increase, 140.85 minus, I'm sorry, 144.85 minus 140.85, which shows the $4 difference, divided by 140.85. So there is a change of 2.84%. Now think about it for a second. Other properties, your competitive sets, have a higher occupancy increase because yours was 5, they were 10. Also, their ADR is increased 7%, yours is 2.84%. So you are losing in the both ADR wise and occupancy wise. So actually, this property is doing very poorly. Just to look at these values. Let's look at the second one. Assume the ADR of the competitive set decreased very significantly last month. For example, it's more than 10%. What will be your assessment of the branch water's revenue management performance compared to its comp set? Now, this is interesting, right? Their ADR is much less, which is in this case 10%. Then you might think that their occupancy increased more than you did because they lowered their prices, right? So in that case, your property is doing better. But the idea of this practice is like in the last question, assume you are the hotel's GM, what additional revenue related information would you want to have before assessing whether your property's revenue management team did a good job last month? Any experienced general manager would like to know about their competitives ADRs, occupancy, RevPAR performance. Other areas of interest also is going to be how this value is going to affect future months of revenues, right? So the idea here is you cannot just take any value in their face value and make a decision. Of course, you have to decide whatever is giving it to you. But in this case, when we look at initially, we said, hey, you know what? If you look at the ADR and if you look at our occupancy, we did very good because both increased. But when we compare ourselves to competitive sets, actually they were much better than us. By the way, all these calculations and more detailed calculations going to be in the future chapters as well. I just want you to get some ideas in this kind of questions. So let's look at the next one. There is about the return on investment, and this is actually it's not that hard of a question. Once again, if you can, please stop, do the calculations, and come back. Okay, I am assuming you did the calculations. What was Shana's before tax return on investment percentage last year? So return on investment calculation was you got the money you received, put in the investment, 20%. The same thing, money you got divided by money you invested. So it's a kind of simple question. Before tax return on investment is 20%. After tax investment is 16.3%. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but you have to consider many other things, right? It's compared to what is a good deal or not deal. But the question is not asking that. The question asking very simple calculation. That's what the return on investment calculation is. How much money you put, like total investment, like $1 million, for example. How much money you received, and you got the money you got divided by the total investment gives you return on investment. Let's look at the last question. Seems a little bit more numbers here. Once again, please stop and try to solve it yourself. If you can do the Excel or you can use the calculator and come back. Okay, I'm assuming you did some calculations, but let's see. 7-day revenue per RevPAR, RevPOR, and occupancy percentage. Okay, now first thing in this kind of question, that's my approach. But you need to fill out as much as information you can because it's gonna make everything is much easier. So let's see room available for sale, and there is a sum function in Excel. You can use that. Basically, you are telling the Excel add all those numbers. So in 7 days, in 2,975, and actually there's a one missing here. So it's room sold is missing. What we can do is we can get total minus adding other numbers, right? And it's going to give us the room sold as well. Now, for occupancy, if you recall, was about how many rooms sold divided by rooms available. Now, there are two ways you can do that, right? You can just here enter the information, or if you already did it, or if you do it once, like for example in this case, you just hold on to the like this corner over here and pull down all the way. It's gonna basically calculate each. You can just check, like for example C7 divided by B7, which is the rooms sold divided by rooms available for sale. Now let's look at the next one. Rooms revenue. Once again, total rooms. So it's gonna sum up all these numbers. Okay, and similar. Revenue per available room was rooms revenue divided by rooms available for sale. So you always, even if you have something like this, be sure to check that formula is correct one. In this case, rooms revenue divided by rooms available, which is the correct one. Then what we can do is, once again, hold on to right bottom corner and pull it down all the way. It's going to automatically calculate. I'm assuming this is the same. Let's check. The major difference between RevPAR and RevPOR is RevPOR focuses on rooms sold, occupied by the people. Okay, for the sake of this simple question, but it could be a little bit more information in the future chapters. Same thing, we can pull it down all the way, and what we can do is just look at the what the question is asking. So first one is the 7-day total revenue per available room, and what am I looking at right here? So 7-day is a 196.77, and 7-day total revenue is 227.96, and 7-day occupancy is 86.3%. Okay, thank you and have a good day.